Ah, Seaside Hill. Brings back some memories, doesn't it? Except this isn't the one for Sonic Heroes, although it sometimes does start to feel like it. It's actually not bad in capturing the spirit of the original stage, being a reimagining of sorts. And if I remember right, this particular stage layout has even made it into a Sonic Generations mod. First thing to talk about and review is the graphics. How are the graphics? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't exactly play a Sonic fan game for the graphics. Well, not typically anyways. Although it does look a lot like the original stage, you can tell it was recreated by someone who's not entirely professional. Although the stage itself looks fine, there are some areas that are a little bit open and some edges that are a little bit rough. Although you won't get lost in this design, and that's where the second part of this level design comes in, is the design of the level itself. The level design is very fluid and smooth, changing things up, and the object layout of this is exceptionally well done. You're always pointed in the correct direction, and the camera is able to keep up with the action very well, thanks in no small part to some good object, camera, and running locks. So overall, the design is very well done. So we've talked about graphics and level design. How about the missions? How well are the missions themselves designed? You need something when you're not just getting from point A to point B. Well, if you didn't notice in that last edit, I actually cut from the initial playthrough to the speedrun mission, which is extremely hard. I actually was not able to bypass most of the level with Knuckles and save enough time to make it to the end in the amount of time given for the time trial mission. This time trial is extremely hard, and I think it took me 5 or 6 attempts to get it right, and I only beat it by a couple of seconds. I ended up using Team Sonic instead of Knuckles, Tails, or Sonic alone, because I needed Sonic's speed coupled with a huge shortcut Knuckles can take early in the stage in order to make it. And I'll show you guys this full run later. Mission 3 is the killer mission, which is destroy as many as all enemies. Now, that may sound like broken English, but what it does is it sets a little counter down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen that is equal to the number of enemies that are in the stage. You can take as many runs through the stage as you need to kill that many enemies. This mission in particular did not give me any problems. Most of the enemies are fairly easy to find and are right along the path. There were a couple that I missed at some point during the stage and had to go back through maybe a third of the stage again after hitting the goal ring, which simply takes you back to the beginning of the stage and resets all of the objects. All in all, this was not that hard, but I did not get an S rank like I did on the time trial mission. The next mission is the Grab 200 Rings mission. I did this one as Amy, and I had a little bit of trouble with it. I actually ended up having to restart this one. And it's not that collecting 200 rings in and of itself is difficult. And sure, it's possible to get a lot more than that in a typical run through the stage, trying to collect as many as you can. However, I was having trouble not getting hit. This shouldn't be a problem typically, but I don't typically play as Amy. Had I been Sonic, this probably would have not been a problem. This mission again was not that hard. The fifth and final mission is the stealth mission. I did this one as Rouge because I needed someone who could glide and climb walls. Without someone like Ray or Knuckles or Rouge or Espio, well, maybe not even Espio, I'm not sure this mission is even possible without that. However, with someone who can glide and climb walls, it's actually not that hard. All you have to do is glide from island to island, and I don't mean the big islands that the actual stage takes place on, I mean little side islands going from pillar to pillar, island to island, gliding your way to the finish. Once you find it, then you can make it. I again did not get an S rank on this mission, and I would assume that's because I had pretty much nil for score. This mission is not easy and is probably impossible as anyone other than Rouge, Knuckles, yada yada yada, but is fairly easy otherwise. Now we come down to the final part of the examination, since this stage does not have its own original music, and that would be variety. By variety, I mean hidden areas, alternate paths, and character accessibility. Hidden areas. Right off of the start, after you drop through the top of the cave, if you hit the plateau, you can walk out across the bridge and collect 3 10-ring bubbles. It's fairly obvious for anyone. After jumping back down, if you didn't get them initially, or if you didn't just go all the way down to the bottom of the cave initially, if you turn around towards the back of the cave, there are 2 more 10-ring bubbles. These will come in handy for the 200 rings missions without a doubt. I tend to get them when I play through the stage normally anyways. Apart from that, there's only one, as far as I know, 1 or 2 alternate paths. Most of them you see are shortcuts that require flight or gliding to get to, and I don't mean circumventing the stage like I did with Knuckles in my speedrun. I mean actual shortcuts like the rail. And it is possible to hit them with other characters, but it's more difficult with someone who can't glide or fly. I think I hit it once as Sonic, but I don't have any footage of that. I can't remember for sure, so don't take my word for it. And as far as I know, that's it. The one alternate path that I know is in the second cave after you hit the spring before you come to the Trail of Rings. Someone who can't ring dash might not be able to cross that gap. If you turn around, there's actually a small hole in the cave. If you jump over there, which is easy to do, you can go up through a dash hoop or 2 and collect a 1-up and run on the top of the cave instead of inside. Homing attack enabled character is a lot easier to use out here because they can use those 3 enemies at the end of this platform to hit the 3 rings and net a cool few points from the rainbow ring. That just leaves character accessibility, or in other words, whether or not you can make it through with most or all of the characters. In this level's case, I'm pretty sure you can make it through with every character. I haven't actually tried it yet, and since I'm trying to avoid using the debug code, I don't have all the characters unlocked yet. So, that covers variety and accessibility, and that's just about it for this review. Overall, I would give this stage an 8 out of 10. The graphics are decent, it's designed well, the layout is rock solid, the atmosphere is decent. The only downside to this stage is that, well, the alternate paths. If there were more alternate paths, in my opinion, it would be a little bit better. Give us a little bit of variety. The level is not exactly a straight A to B, just go from start to finish, but sometimes, as a matter of fact, oftentimes, it feels like it. So a little bit more variety would be nice. And one last thing, here is the speedrun Mission 2.